Greetings, loyal subjects of the Imperium of Man. I am Librarian Elias of the Adeptus Astartes. I am creating a series of recordings with the intent of educating the general populace of the dangers of the galaxy. All of this information comes from the Lexicanum, provided to me by the Adeptus Mechanicus. I will be reading verbatim from their archives. This recording will cover one of the many foes the Imperium has, a Necron Lord known as Oltyx. Oltyx, the twice-dead king, is a Necron Lord, originally of the Ithacus dynasty, born to Pharaon Unas and constantly overshadowed by his elder brother, Jaceres. The Necrontyr Oltyx was originally a veteran of the Second War of Succession against the Opdec dynasty. Fortunately for Oltyx, biotransference into Necron bodies began just as he was breaking out in the cancerous tumors that were typical of his race. Reborn in a mechanical body, he fought in the war in heaven and took part in the Great Sleep. However, the Ithacus dynasty had reawoken earlier compared to most other dynasties, and Oltyx used the opportunity to try and usurp his father and brother. The plot was foiled by Jaceres, who promptly exiled the fallen lord for the attempted regicide. Unknown to Oltyx, the act served to save his life. Years later, Oltyx was still in exile, overseeing the crumbling Ithacus backwater world of Seta. The monotony of his existence soon changed, however, when a large orc force arrived, and Oltyx personally slew the war boss overseeing the invasion. It soon became apparent that the Greenskins had been fleeing from an enormous Imperial crusade, and in order to survive, Oltyx and his followers had to flee Seta. They made for Antikef, the crown world of the Ithacus dynasty, in order to seek aid against the crusade. When Oltyx arrived on Antikef, he found the dynasty in madness and ruin. His father Unas had succumbed to the Flayer curse and was being manipulated by the corrupt vizier Hemion, seeking to restore the sanity to his dynasty. Oltyx attempted to usurp Unas, but was captured and tortured by Hemion, who forced him to battle in gladiatorial arenas against flayed ones and captive Xenos. Oltyx escaped with the help of his cryptech Mentep, but was ultimately saved due to the return of his brother Jaceres, who took his rightful place as the dynasty's heir. Shortly after Jaceres' arrival came the Imperial Crusade, which began the process of laying waste to Antikef. Together, Jaceres and Oltyx organized the defense of Antikef as the Ithacus dynasty began to evacuate the world. In the face of the Angels in Carmine, Space Marines, and their Imperial Titans, the ruined and vastly outnumbered dynasty stood little hope of survival otherwise. In the final stages of the battle, Jaceres volunteered himself to stay behind and was slain fighting Space Marines as the Ithacus fleet fled. Oltyx encountered the now completely feral Unas and finally put his father out of his misery. Oltyx became the new master of the Ithacus dynasty at last, but ironically, he felt no satisfaction. The Imperial Crusade continued to chase the now refugee Ithacus fleet under Oltyx's command. Under Mentep's guidance, the group first fled to a weapon known as the Gravatic Trebuchet, but even this device proved unable to stop the endless Imperial tide. Now even more desperate, they arrived at the blighted realm of the insane cryptech Amhet, who had once been Mentep's former master. During the subsequent meeting with Amhet, Mentep was restored with his memory of the Ghost Wind, which the cryptech insisted was the key to the dynasty's survival. Afterwards, Oltyx learned from Mentep and his Admiral Yennek that vast numbers of flayed ones had been stored within the bowels of their fleet without his approval. Worse still, Mentep revealed that the intelligence of Oltyx's flagship, the Acrops, was using the Ghostwind to journey to the mythical but cursed world of Drazak. The revelation drove Oltyx into a rage, and he slew Mentep while banishing Yennek, who himself was near to fully succumbing to the Flayer curse. Oltyx then oversaw a vicious purge of the flayed ones within his fleet. In the midst of the chaotic purge, the Angels in Carmine and their allies came upon the Ithacus refugee fleet once more. In the subsequent fighting against the Terminators and a dreadnought aboard the bridge of his flagship, Oltyx died for the second time, just as he had succeeded in activating the Ghostwind Protocol out of desperation. Oltyx miraculously arose once more, days later, amidst the ruins of his fleet, now orbiting Drazak. Discovering that he too had now succumbed to the Flare curse, Oltyx embraced his destiny and led the survivors of Ithacus to Drazak. On the world, he took up the mantle of Volgul, the Fallen Lord, who is also known as the First Flare King. It is unclear if Oltyx was always destined to become the mythical Flare King and had traveled back in time via the Ghostwind, or he simply was a new bearer of the title upon becoming a Necron. Oltyx, with the help of cryptic Mentep, was able to divide his consciousness into a number of specialist subminds that each performed unique tasks. These subminds were capable of conversing with Oltyx as well as each other, and even keep secrets from him. Oltyx was stripped of these minds while captive on Antikef, but they later lived on in the form of a scarab. Oltyx's 5 subordinate minds were doctrinal, derived from Oltyx's understanding of Necron/Necrontia culture, history, and traditions; strategic, derived from Oltyx's understanding of military strategy; combat, derived from Oltyx's understanding of martial prowess and close combat; analytical, derived from Oltyx's understanding of processing and analyzing information and data; and xenology, derived from Oltyx's understanding of other alien species. Xenology was unique in that it actively sought to learn about other alien species, whereas most Necrons despise organic races. This concludes the information regarding Oltyx. More in-depth information regarding him will be recorded at a later date. This is Librarian Elias, signing off.